And we're live. Another journey in the labyrinth today, Jay. Season
Yeah, I'm
4,
stoked.
episode 3. Last episode we had Elliot Hulse, so make sure you guys check that out. That was something else, man. A different way I look at things in life. So if you guys missed, don't miss that one. And personally, from me, Jay, to you, I just want to thank you for traveling through and having these great guests come on and learning from the best and being by my side. So I appreciate you, brother.
Hey man, I appreciate you. Thank you for inviting me into the labyrinth. Like if we didn't have that conversation and you didn't ask me to be a part of the process, then we wouldn't be sitting here. So I just want to give thanks for that. I am very stoked for today because this man has helped me out on my personal journey, and I found him through a friend of mine.
Uh-oh. You're breaking up there, Jay. Or you're muted. We can't hear you. Keep it going.
The struggle, man.
John is like, oh, what the?
No, I know how this is.
Can't hear you. Yeah, for all our listeners out there, Jay is going through working changes in his offices and his building. So he switched rooms and he switched to the new room for it to work, and it was working, and all of a sudden it was just boom. So let's see. I think he's gonna switch rooms. So we'll
Can you hear me
oh,
now?
there we go. He's back.
Yeah, I just think it's it's my earbuds seems to be the problem.
Well, we're still here.
All
We're
right.
still we're still doing it. So keep going, man. You're saying something good.
All right. Does it sound better now?
Yes, sir.
You? Okay. All right. Perfect. No, I said our guest. Basically, I started following to a friend. He had my boy Dex on a podcast, and I started following his journey. And I thought this guy was really interesting. And I ended up putting up a video, and he ended up. I guess he saw it through somebody else that reposted it, and he and I got in contact, and we had a great conversation. So we've had a pretty good friendship since then. So I said, hey, I got a little podcast going on with my boy. Why not bring him on? So I'm just very excited that he's took time out of his schedule to be on our podcast. So Frankie, you usually do the intro. I'm going to do the intro today because it's my boy.
Take it from here.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is my boy, Obese to Beast on Instagram, John Glaude. How's it going, my brother?
It's going good, man. Thanks for having me, bro. I appreciate it, and thanks for all the kind words. You probably shouldn't lie on your podcast, but it's fine,
Nah, it's no lies, man. All facts, man. You're a great dude. Your journey is pretty awesome. I know a lot of people that follow you in the CrossFit community. So, I'm a big CrossFitter, and I felt like it was only right. Like, Frankie gets his guests in, the strong men and the power lifters. So every now and again, I get to slide in a guy or two that I like. So I definitely thought you were thing, and I said, my boy's got to get on the show and got to speak his his journey. So usually we start with high school, but first, before we even get into the high school situation, where were you born? Like, where'd you grow up? And then we can get into the high school aspect.
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in San Diego, California. More particularly East County of San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah, I've lived here my whole life. This is what I know. I mean, I can go more in depth if you want me to, as far as like childhood stuff, but yeah.
Please
So
do.
so for me, growing up, I grew up in like a broken home, like many of us do nowadays. And my parents were actually like drug addicts, and me and my other two siblings, I actually have a lot of siblings, but me and my two siblings that actually grew up together, full siblings, we actually ended up getting taken away from my mom and my dad when we were really young, when I was
Okay.
I was like 3 or something. But then after about a year, we were put back with them. But, you know, growing up, and my mom got clean and she stayed clean ever since then. So she's like a CPS, like, which is Child Protective Services. Like, she's like a success story, which is doesn't happen often. So I'm very, very lucky for that. Like, that's a huge thing that happened in my life. But, you know, growing up, obviously with all of that stuff in the background, we didn't have much money. And so we were pretty, you know, low income, you know, government housing, food stamps, all that stuff. And, you know, growing up, I mean, so as you introduced me, you know, my screen name online is Obese to Beast. So obviously, you know, I became obese at some point, right? So kind of growing up, I was always kind of gaining weight all throughout my life. And for me, like, weight gain just became like the normal thing. Like every year that went by, like, you know, when I think about like going back to school shopping, it was always a bigger shirt size, a bigger waist size, always stuff like that, right? And so I just, like, you know, continued gaining weight from, you know, basically from when I was like 7 up until I was 20 was when I was at my highest weight. But I know you said you wanted to talk about like high school and stuff, so we can go into that if you want.
Okay, what was your highest weight?
So my highest weight that I always say is 360 pounds.
Okay.
But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a little bit more than that. 360 is the biggest number I saw.
All right, so let's just give people like a visual. So you're 360 pounds. How tall are you?
Yeah, so I'm 5'8", so I'm not the tallest in the world.
Yeah, that's a decent sized human being.
Yeah.
Now, at your biggest, did you have any kind of like health complications or anything like that? Was there any like, you know, sleep apnea, anything like that?
So nothing that was like diagnosed because I was terrified to go to the doctors, but like a couple things that I dealt with at my heaviest was one of the biggest things was I was like at 20 years old, I was legitimately terrified of my own death. Like I was always thinking about like dying, and who knows how how founded those thoughts were. It might have just been my own mind, you know, making me stressed out, because I struggle with like anxiety and stuff like that. So, but I remember being 20, like literally being afraid to like be home alone, because I was like, man, if I have a heart attack, who's going to be here? You know, just like little things like that. Right. But so like, as far as health concerns, I was never like diagnosed with anything. I remember when I was in 10th grade. So I was like 15 because I graduated when I was 17. I went to the doctors. My mom forced me to go, and they basically told me there, I mean, it was a whole thing, but they basically told me that I was like pre-diabetic. And in my head, I was like, oh, cool. I'm killing it. I'm fine. And basically what they said, like, if you continue down this road, you're going to be diabetic. And I was like, well, I'm not diabetic yet. And I just remember, like, there was no fear. Like, there was no, like, that didn't scare me, which is, if I heard that news now that I actually care, I would be mortified, you know? And so so when I was at my heaviest, like the things that I dealt with were, I had like really bad, like the skin on my elbows and my knees were very, very rough and like rough to the touch, to the point where they were so dry that sometimes they would crack and I would be bleeding, and they're like super dark. I had like really dark circles under my eyes. And this is one thing that leads me to believe I might have been either pre-diabetic or actually diabetic at my heaviest, because my feet were starting to scab really bad. And so like my, you know, and even my fingers weren't like scabbing, but they were very dry, like my knuckles and my knuckles were super dry, and again, like super dark. But so I remember that was kind of, I was never diagnosed with anything, but that's because I was too afraid to go to the doctors, which is a pretty normal thing for people that are really, really overweight, because it's not a fun thing to go to the doctors. That's something I talk a lot about, is trying to improve the experience of people that are bigger at the doctor, so they're not as intimidated to go, because it's important to go, you know?
I mean, nobody likes to go to the doctor. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
You be healthy and they'll walk in and tell you, you know, like, you know, when I say healthy, that, you know, like the cookie cut version of what people believe is healthy. Like if you walk around, you have like muscles and abs, right? And then you go to the doctor and they tell you, hey, you have, you know, stage 3 something, you know, like it doesn't matter if you're healthy or not. I think going to the doctor is just a scary experience in itself. But you mentioned I'm going to double back a little bit. You mentioned that like you didn't care. Why was it that you didn't care? Because obviously, I mean, you're more health aware now.
Yeah.
But like, is there a reason why you just didn't get, you know, like you didn't care?
Yeah, for me, like growing up, like I said, I had just kind of gotten used to gaining weight my entire life, and so it felt like it. I used to always say, like, jokingly. Now looking back, I'm like, man, that's kind of sad. But jokingly, I would joke like, oh, I don't have a metabolism, or my metabolism's broken, or stuff like that. So I felt like I was a lost cause, you know, and I felt like, man, it's not like I'm doing anything that's causing me to be this size. It's just happening to me. You know, my friends are eating McDonald's with me. What I failed to realize was that I was eating 3 times, maybe 4 times as much as they were. You know, I was just seeing they're eating the same types of food as me. Which yes, they were, but they weren't. Like, for me, a normal McDonald's order was 2 McDoubles, 2 McChickens, a large fry, and a large soda, and sometimes chicken nuggets. So like,
Okay.
they would eat 1 McDouble and maybe a 5-piece of chicken nuggets, you know? And so it's like things like that where I genuinely felt like there was nothing I could do. And I was just unlucky with my genetics, and I was going to be big for the rest of my life.
Got you. So you kind of like normalized it in your mind, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. Continue.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of where once I hit, so, you know, gaining weight, and then I hit 20 years old, and this is kind of what I call my click moment. Now, there was something that happened before it that is important that I always talk about. So I was invited to a wedding of one of my best friends, who
Okay.
that was in Utah, which we ended up driving. So it was about a 13-hour drive because I live in San Diego. And when trying to find clothes for that was really terrible, right? Trying to find a 5XL shirt, 56-inch waist, like, that's, yeah, it's not easy to find those things. So if you are that size, go to Burlington Coat Factory. They always have good deals. And they have a large selection. But so that's where I found a lot of the stuff. I remember we got in the car to drive there. It was a 13-hour drive the whole time. You know, I'm obviously just drinking soda, eating candy, chips, things like that. And by the time we get there, I go to get out of the car, and then I get like kind of dizzy and almost fall back into the car. And everyone kind of notices, like, are you okay? You know, and I kind of played it off. I was like, yeah, I just haven't drank any water. The elevation here is different. I'm sure I'm fine. But again, like I said earlier, I'm always thinking about my mortality, right? Like, my weight is scaring me. And so when that happened, I was like, I don't know why this happened. Again, I'm only 20. I don't know why this happened, but that scared me. Like, the whole trip, I was just stressed out. I thought there was something seriously wrong with me. But again, I was too afraid to go to the doctors because I was too afraid. Luckily, it didn't seem like it was anything super big deal. Now that I look back and I know more, a really normal thing if you're really, really large and you sit for a long period of time in a car like that, your blood gets all jacked up, and like it's just not good, right? I should have gotten up and walked around a little bit more. But so that whole trip, I was super stressed out. But then, you know, we got back, and a couple weeks later, we get the pictures from the wedding, and I was like, oh man, I thought I looked good. I was like really happy with my outfit. And then I saw the pictures, and I was just like, okay, yeah, I don't want to see those again. I actually keep one as the background on my phone. And so I remember, like, again, the shirt that I was wearing was 5XL, and it was like, if I sat down, the buttons would pop open because my gut would open them up, you know?
Oh, okay.
And so I remember I saw those, mortified, but that wasn't when I changed. So it was maybe a few weeks after that, I was binge watching Miami Ink on Netflix. And this was like right around when Netflix started like doing streaming and stuff. And so I was like sitting on my couch, or on my bed actually, watching Miami Ink. And if people don't know what Miami Ink is, it's a show where they kind of they show people, like, they're at a tattoo parlor, and then people come in and they kind of document, oh, what's this tattoo about? Why are you getting it? Blah, 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 right? It's a reality TV show from a while ago. And I was binge watching it because I had like these 2 tattoos, so the ones that are on my forearms. And I always kind of wanted to get more, but I was like, man, I don't want to get a tattoo on my upper arm. It's so big, or like really anywhere else. And I like, every time I would watch, I'm like, man, it'd be so cool to be able to get tattoos in other places. And then a guy came on the show that had actually lost a lot of weight. And I don't even exactly remember what he said. He was getting like a hamburger tattoo or something. And he was getting it to commemorate his weight loss. And they asked him, you know, how'd you do it? You know, all the normal things. And he kind of went off what he did. He didn't like do any crazy diet, but he basically was like, I just changed my decisions or something like that. Right. And I remember it, honestly, it doesn't even matter what he said because it was more what was going on in my mind. Right. And so I started to realize that it was decisions that I made that got me to the point that I was at. And so it's just decisions that I need to make to no longer be there. Right. And something that this was obviously years after the fact, but Will Smith actually did a little talk on his Instagram a few years ago now, where he talked about fault versus responsibility. And
Yes.
he says, just because something isn't your fault doesn't change the fact that it might be your responsibility. Right. And so for me, I think in the back of my head, I never would like if someone asked me about my weight, I would never say, yeah, it's my mom's fault or it's my family's fault because they, you know, blah, blah, blah. We're poor. We ate crappy food. But I think in the back of my head, I probably thought that, or at least subconsciously, I thought that.
Yeah,
and so, yeah. And so at that moment, again, I wasn't thinking this because that video that Will Smith made wasn't until it was a few years ago, but I think I finally really took responsibility for, like, I need to make this change. Like, yes, it's not my fault that I think it was my fault, but in the back of my head, maybe I was able to say, maybe it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to make a change if you really do. Right. Because all throughout my childhood growing up, I would have dreams about not being as big as I was. Like, it was like, if someone could grant me a wish, my wish would have always been, I want to not be as big as I am.
Gotcha.
And so it was like this, it felt like it was like this unicorn that I would never be able to catch. And so, but yeah, so that was my click moment. And then, so that day it was funny. I was actually eating a double entree plate of orange chicken and fried rice from Panda Express and the large drink, and their drinks are really big. And I remember I was like, okay, well, I'm going to finish this food because I don't want to waste anything. And then I remember I woke up the next day, and like the best way I can really describe it is like, I felt like I was like born again. Like, I felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, and I was like, I'm going to change. Like, this is going to happen. And so I remember I went and got a haircut. I went to Vaughn's, which is a local grocery store here. I bought water and sandwiches because I was like, I don't know what's healthy, but I think sandwiches are better than what I'm eating. And that was the start, man. And like, as far as how I started, there was no crazy diet that I went on. I've actually never really been I'm not a huge proponent of going on fad diets, crazy diets. But for me, what I did was what I called a common sense diet. This was something that I coined after the fact, but I was like, okay, what do I know is unhealthy regardless of how much I know about nutrition, right? So it was like, okay, soda, probably not the best idea. That was something I would try and cut out all the time. I would try and cut out soda all throughout, like, all the time.
Soda's horrible for you.
Yeah, it really is. And so I would cut out soda, fast food, and junk food. And that was actually a big part of my diet, but it was like, I know that these things, if I want to lose weight and be quote unquote healthy, these things aren't going to serve that purpose. Like, those things aren't going to help me in that endeavor. And so, okay, I obviously need to cut these things out. And again, I didn't know what I was doing. So it's not like I went and ate chicken and broccoli and I was like, okay, I ate sandwiches. I ate like prepackaged stuff a lot when I was first losing my weight. And that's something that I'm a big proponent of, is like, if you have a lot of weight to lose, like, you can make small changes and see big results. And I think that's what a lot of people think they need to go from 0 to 100 when they're trying to lose weight, especially if they're trying to lose a massive amount of weight. Like, they have to be like, okay, I've been eating like McDonald's every day. Okay, now I'm going to start eating just chicken and broccoli and maybe some rice. And sometimes they don't even do the rice, right? Because they think carbs are bad. And it's like, it's just not necessary to go from one extreme to the other extreme, because a lot of times when you do that, you end up falling off because it's just too much, you know. And so that was the start of my journey and kind of how I got started doing all the stuff that I do now.
Cut out the fast food, right? Were there any like cravings? Did you like go through? Because I know like sometimes when you cut out something that was a staple in your diet like that. Mm-hmm. Like, I know you had to have been fiending for like a McDouble or a McChicken.
Yeah, I would. That's a good question, man. And like, I I certainly did. I will say, I mean, it's been a while, right? So it's hard to really put myself back in exactly how I felt day to day at that time. But I just, like, the best way to describe it was like, yes, I had cravings, but like, as cheesy as it sounds, like the craving to like be healthy was just stronger for me at that
Okay.
time, finally, to be like, I don't care how much I want that thing, because it was like, I don't, like, that's not what's best for me right now.
Okay.
And so I think that that's how I was able to kind of push through, because I never really dealt with any super big setbacks as far as like slipping up and gaining 50 pounds and then having to lose it again. Like, I never really dealt with any of that. And I'm very happy that I didn't have to deal with that, because it's a very normal thing for people that lose a lot of weight. But luckily
Yeah.
for me, I was able to avoid that.
Yeah, because I mean, I know from just I have a few friends that were always had issues with quote unquote dieting, because they would always revert back. And like you said, you were saying before, like, just keeping it very simple, like that common sense diet makes a lot of sense, because I think a lot of people go from one extreme to the other, and there's no middle ground. So it's either like you're, super high or super low.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go and do it in like I always say, this a gradual process, it makes the transition that much more easier.
Mm-hmm.
So one question I have is like, so your high school career, was it like, so obviously you were overweight in high school. Did you get teased? Did you have like any kind of issues with people making fun of you for your weight? Like, just go through that with us real quick.
So I was really lucky that I didn't deal with much teasing in high school from others, because I teased myself. So I would deflect. I would make it so people couldn't make fun of me. I mean, they certainly could if they wanted to, but they didn't need to, because I was already making fun of myself. So I made myself the butt of a lot of jokes, which it served me, but it also didn't. So at the time, it made it so I wasn't a target, which was very nice, because it sucks getting bullied. Like, it sucks, right? But when you're constantly putting yourself down and constantly making jokes that you're garbage or you're disgusting or whatever, like, eventually it starts to become part of who you are. Like, it becomes like part of your subconscious, right? And so it was good, but it was also bad, because it definitely made me think negatively about myself. Like, the only time that I can really think about getting like seriously like bullied to a point where it was like, man, that was messed up, was I was actually trying out for the football team at my school. And I had played like flag football growing up. I never played Pop Warner because, one, we couldn't afford it, and two, I was actually over the weight limit for the kids. So when I got into high school, I was like super excited, because I literally got like MVP of our flag football team, and I was literally the center, and I was a defensive lineman. Like, but I just really always I tried really hard. Like, my nickname in flag football was Rhino, because I just like always went for it no matter what, right? And so I was like super excited to play football in high school, and I went to the tryouts, and the first thing they did was one lap around the track. It's 400 meters. It's nothing crazy, but I couldn't run 400 meters. And so, but the way that they did it was basically the linemen were at the front, and then the like receivers and like the smaller, basically the faster kids were at the back. And so they would try and make it to where they'd push you and like actually push for the lap. And so obviously, one, I couldn't run the whole thing, and two, everyone passed me up. No one was super mean to me or anything like that during that point. Like, there was actually like one of the captains like went back and like was like, "Come on, man, you can do it." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then we did drills outside, and so I did okay with those. I slipped a few times, I didn't have cleats or anything like that. But then we went into the weight room, and I had never lifted ever in my entire life. And I remember we were at the squat rack, and they had I think they had 135 on the bar. I don't remember exactly. And again, I had never squatted. I don't think we even warmed up with the bar or anything. And they were like, "Okay, squat this." And so, I have the freaking bar on my neck. Like, it hurts. I try and squat. I can't do it. And the one of the guys, one of the older dudes, was like, "Man, you're the biggest dude here, and you can't even squat that. Like, what are you even good for?" Right? And I was like a freshman. I was super nervous already. And it just like that, like, crushed me. So I ended up like walking up to the coaches, making up a lie that my mom needed me, and left and never played football again. So that's like one of my biggest regrets. But at the same time, like, all of those things led me to where I am now. So it is what it is. but yeah, like I think that honestly because that happened like the beginning of like that was like over summer break from 8th grade to 9th grade, right? So it was I hadn't even started high school yet.
High school, yeah.
And so I was like, I think from that point on, I kind of was like, I don't want that to happen again. So I need to be funny and like avoid, I need to make fun of myself first, basically.
Okay.
And so, yeah, going throughout high school, like I really didn't I was actually, I don't want to say I was like popular, but I wasn't not popular. Like I played drums. I was in a band. We would play sometimes at like lunch for the school.
Shit.
I actually ended up,
star.
yeah, yeah. I ended up getting a nickname in high school called, it was Cupcake. And this was another thing, like kids were trying to be mean to me, but I was like, no, I like that. So I flipped it and I like, it was like Cupcake was who I was in high school. Like if anyone knew me, they knew me as Cupcake.
All right, so
And
like friends were like, yo, bro, call Cupcake to come through this party because that's how they would refer to you.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So
Okay, cool.
so I remember like literally, dude, like through when I graduated, they said John David Cupcake Glaude. Like it was like that's who I was, right? So I actually have a cupcake tattoo on my calf.
That's dope, man.
And it says like rest in peace under it because now no one knows me as Cupcake anymore, obviously. And it was like I don't mean it as like I hated that part of myself because it really did help me, but it's no longer who I am anymore. But yeah, man, so that was kind of high school for me. It was trying to be funny to avoid getting made fun of. And luckily I didn't have to deal with too much bullying because I, bullied myself so much.
I just got to say, I love how you flipped it. I love how you took that and you owned it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you made it your thing and you put a spin on it. The one thing that I've noticed from you is you're very like optimistic. Like just talking to you and hearing about your journey, you're telling me like, all right, these are the early stages of your life. You were able to take, a lot of despair and sadness and you kind of flipped it and, you made light of some of this stuff and you were able to not succumb to it, but almost like you used it to help you thrive a bit, man. So, like just the fact that you were able to take a nickname like Cupcake and own that shit, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I salute you on that, dude, because I don't know if I can make Cupcake like my thing. You know what I mean? Like it takes a special type of individual just to be able to do that. You know what I mean? Like, and it shows that you have like a level of like charisma, bro. Cause like you have to finesse that.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't easy at all.
Yeah.
So like you playing the drums, that's all like finessing.
Mm-hmm.
So man, like I tell you this, that is the first time I've heard somebody take something and kind of, make it their own and put their own spin on it. And then like kind of, I don't want to say brand yourself, but like, you know what, if you're gonna make fun of me, nah, I'm not gonna let you guys do that. I'm gonna own who I am, but I'm gonna make it cool to be me. Mm-hmm. And that's swag in itself, bro. So I salute you on that.
Thanks, man.
I like that a lot. So let's go post high school, right? Did you go to college?
Yeah, so so in high school I actually have like some learning disabilities, so I went to like I was in like certain special ed classes.
Okay.
And I had what is called an ISP, which is just like I forget what the acronym stands for, but it's basically just like something that helps you a little bit through high school. Like for me, I'm a very like visual learner, but like if you try and get me to read something, I'm like, dude, I have no idea what's going on. So I like audiobooks and stuff like that a lot more, or like watching YouTube videos is how I learn so much stuff. And so knowing that, like graduating was tough for me. And so when I went into high school or into college, like I had very little belief that I would do well. And so I didn't try very hard. And so I went to college for about a year and then I was like, okay, I'm going to take some time off, which was like, I just can't do it,? And so then I ended up just kind of, I went to college for music. So I was a music major. But the thing is that I have no idea how to read music. I learned to play drums by watching YouTube videos. So I wasn't like trained or anything like that. And so
visual learner.
Yeah. That's what I said.
You just literally video and then learned how to, that's genius in itself, man. Don't just credit yourself, but continue. Go ahead.
So when I remember I went into one of the classes, which was Music Theory 101. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be exciting. And then one of the first things the teachers or the professor says was, if you don't know how to read music, like either learn right now and it's going to be a very big curve for you, or leave. And I was like, at first I was like, no, I can do it. And then I tried for about like a week and I was like, there's absolutely no way. Like, cause it's like trying to, it would be like taking, I don't know, like a Spanish class where it's not the beginner level Spanish. It's like a little bit over, and then being like, okay, you need to learn Spanish and then get like, it was just, there was no way, especially for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up like, I remember I dropped that class and I just remember that was like a really big, like punch in the gut. Cause like, dang man, I am not ready for this. And so then I kind of just started working like little jobs. Like the first job I got was at the Van shoe store. And then I started working at Vaughn's, and I was working those two jobs together. And then that's actually when I started losing weight, was when I was working at those places.
Okay.
And then after that, I ended up getting full-time at Vaughn's, so I was able to leave Vans. And then after that, I ended up working at a car dealership, which was horrible. I'm not a car salesman at all. And then after that, I ended up working at a shooting range, which also the owner of the shooting range was not a great person. And then after that, again, like, yeah, what? How did I get the job? Honestly,
yeah.
Craigslist, man. And apparently, like, that job is always up, which is always usually a problem, right? And so, you know, it was a bad situation, but we don't need to go into that. And then after the shooting range, I ended up getting a job at Starbucks, which I actually really liked working at Starbucks. And I worked there for a while. And then as I was working at Starbucks, I actually got a job at 24 Hour Fitness, and I was working those two at the same time. And so I would wake up at like 3 a.m. because I worked at Starbucks from 4 a.m. to either 12 or 3, just depended on the shift.
And then you would go.
Or no, not from 12 to 3. Sorry, from 8 to 12. And then I would have about an hour, and then I would work at 24 Hour Fitness from whenever to whenever. And then I would usually try and work out afterwards. And that was obviously after I had like lost all the weight and I was, you know, starting to try and like work on my fitness. And then eventually once like YouTube started like going crazy and I started actually making money off of YouTube, I was able to leave. First, I left 24 Hour Fitness because I actually wasn't a fan of working there. As you can see, I'm not the best employee. I like working for myself, I think. And so then I ended up, after a while, I was able to leave Starbucks, which was actually really difficult for me because I really liked working there. But yeah, that's kind of my history of jobs, I guess.
So at 24 Hour Fitness, right, you're doing what, bodybuilding style workouts like chest, try, shoulders, buys, that type of stuff?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I need to know when that segue from like doing traditional bodybuilding came into the CrossFit realm.
Mm-hmm. So for me, like I think for most people, not everyone, but for most people, when they first get into working out, it's kind of like bodybuilding, you know, push day, pull day, leg day kind of things. And so for me, that was kind of it. Like I went to 24 Hour Fitness and I did the machines, was basically how it first started. I had a friend of mine he would actually drive me there because I didn't have a car. And we would work out together. It was my best friend, Nolan. We've known each other since we were kids. And he was always like, really, like whenever I try to lose weight, he was always like, yeah, sweet, let's do it. And so we started doing that. We were working out, and eventually I actually found on Instagram this guy who he actually made YouTube videos, and he was like a bodybuilder, right? And his name is Brian, and he ended up like, we kind of like linked up because I was like, oh yeah, look at my transformation, and he's like, oh, that's awesome, man, like we should like work out basically. And so we ended up working out because he lived really close to me, and through him he actually taught me a lot of like okay, this is what an actual pull day is, what actual push day is, this is what you should do, on top of me watching a lot of YouTube videos, of course, right? And so we started working out, and then eventually, I mean, this is like kind of going through the years, but eventually we decided that we were going to do a men's physique show together, right? And also his brother.
Get to that too, but go ahead.
Yeah, so we ended up, like, obviously I started training for that, and I did like a whole bulk and cut thing. And so, you know, I bulked up to, I think it was like 210, which I actually make way more than that now, but I think I have like more muscle. But for me, that was a pretty big size. And then I cut down for the show, did the men's physique show, you know, got like half naked on stage, and did that.
And all, huh?
Yeah, it was a good time. I had the fake tan, and I looked like, I don't know, like a bronze, not statue, because I definitely look like a statue, but just a bronze human. But yeah, so after that, I remember I was just kind of sick of just doing like bodybuilding stuff, and especially like the dieting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I was like, there's no way I can sustain this type of diet and like be successful, because it was really, really restrictive. I was eating super low calories. For me, I was eating like 2,100 calories, which is pretty low for me.
Yeah.
And to get as lean as I was, and plus that I was doing like, 40 minutes to an hour of cardio on the stairs every day too, and so it was just, I enjoyed it, but I was like, I don't think I can see myself doing this forever.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, so my brother actually went to my physique show, and there was also this girl that went there that followed my YouTube channel. And she came up to me and my friends and was like, hey, I watch your channel and stuff. And my brother was like, oh, she's cute. Right.
Yeah.
And so long story short, they got married.
Oh, wow.
But yeah. So Sam, who is my sister-in-law, she kind of did CrossFit already. Like she was kind of doing it at a little gym. And so Jean was like, oh, I'm going to, he like messaged her, slid into the DMs. They started talking, and he was actually kind of interested in doing that type of training, because my brother himself has lost like 30 to 40 pounds, like through doing like just diet and bodybuilding style workouts, but he never really liked it. Like I liked it. He just didn't. He did it because he felt like he had to. And then he found CrossFit and he started working out with her, and he was like, I could tell that he really, really liked it. And for me, I was like seeing how much he enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, that sounds like it could be interesting. It'd be fun to try that out. And then he had me watch the documentaries. And then before I even went into my first class, I bought a pair of Metcons, and, the rest is history. So it was more just because like I wanted to find something that was less focused only on how you look. Right. So it's more focused on how you perform. And I think I just really like that. And I think for me, another thing that was a really big part was because I had never really pushed my body ever, or like been functional at all. And so for me, like I was able to actually like do a box jump. I remember the first time I did a 24-inch box jump, I was like terrified. And then in the workout, I did like 40 of them, and then like I would see people doing muscle ups, and in my head, I was like, yeah, there's no way I'll be able to do that. Or like handstand walks, or like handstand push-ups. And I was just like, yeah, there's no way. And now I can do those things, so I think that that's part of why it's so fun. And then on top of that, it's always different. You get to work out with other people. Like my office where I'm at right now is inside of the gym that I go to. I rent out this space. And so the community is so different than just going to, 24-hour fitness and getting a workout in, which I still do. And I don't, well, not right now because of everything, but like, I still like doing that, but it's just a completely different like vibe than this is.
Yeah. Okay. So you pretty much fell into it because, change of pace. You didn't hate bodybuilding, but you wanted to do something different, and then you kind of fell in love with being functional. Mm-hmm. And I remember during our conversation, when you had me on your show, you thought you could go to regionals. So like, make regional on the team level, not as an individual, on the team level. So
yeah, me and my brother.
Him, huh? You were just go through like what would your training sessions look like? I mean, at the time when you thought that you could potentially be a regional level athlete, like what kind of workouts were you doing? Were you following a specific program? Like what was that looking like?
Oh, dude, that dream got shut down real quick. So like I started, for the first like good amount of time when I was doing CrossFit, I just did the CrossFit classes. Mm-hmm. Like I would just go to the class, and then that was it. Maybe like I remember the first class I did had double unders in it. Obviously, I could not do double unders at all. And so I ended up like, I remember after that, I was like, okay, I'm going to practice. I'm going to get double unders. And so I remember for like a few months after that, I would do double unders every day after class, which I don't recommend doing. But like for me, it was like, I need to learn how to do these. And so honestly, like it really wasn't that. Like that dream was, I wouldn't say it was crushed, but it was like I was brought down to reality pretty quick. And so for me, like at the start, I remember I was saying to the coach of the gym, the first gym that I went to, I was like, yeah, I'll probably come in like 2 times a week, maybe just do this for fun. And that did not happen. It was like, right from the start, I was like, okay, I'm coming here every day, basically. And so for me, luckily, because at that time I had already become full-time YouTube, like that's what I did. And so I had, free time. And so I basically would do like bodybuilding stuff in the morning, and then I would do CrossFit in the evening. And that was pretty much what I did almost from the start when I started CrossFit. Again, not recommending this to anybody, but it was just, I had the time and I was like super addicted to it. And so I started kind of doing 2-a-days from the start. And I mean, I did that for years, like honestly for years. And then last year, or 2018 actually, I ended up running a marathon. And so that was, or no, I think it might have been last year. I don't remember now, but I ran them. So I remember I got kind of, I don't want to say bored, but I wanted a new challenge. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this marathon. And so I started training for a marathon. And then this year I was supposed to do a triathlon, but then everything got closed. So pretty soon, hopefully I'm going to start training for the triathlon again. So I just kind of like always, CrossFit is always there, but
Yeah.
I like will sometimes I'll be like, okay, I'm going to put bodybuilding. I don't even like calling it bodybuilding, but just like hypertrophy training on the back burner right now. I'm going to focus on this. And that's kind of what I do. I just go through cycles.
So, what was I going to say? So with the triathlon, are you going to do a full triathlon or are you going to do a sprint?
So I'm going to I want to do the Olympic distance. So there's like most of the time there's 4 different lengths. So there's the sprint, and I don't know all the distances of everything, but the sprint ends with the 5K run. The full, or the Olympic distance, ends with a 10K, and then there's the half Ironman, which ends with a half marathon at the end, and then there's the Ironman, which ends with a marathon at the end. I don't know all the other numbers, but I want to just do the full Olympic distance one, which will still be a challenge for me. You know, it'll probably take me between 4 to 6 hours. I don't know exactly yet, because again, I haven't even really, like, I have a bike, I've been riding it, I've been running, but I can't really go swimming anywhere right now. But I think that'll be like a fun challenge. Hopefully I'll do better than I did in the because for my marathon, man, I literally trained for like 7 weeks and it was just not good.
Yeah.
It was not good.
A triathlon, the only thing that scares me is the water, man. I mean,
me too, man. Trust me.
Yeah, like you got to get out there. You actually got to hit open water and swim, and like you're not even dipping your toe, man. You're like, all right. Most people will be like, all right, I'm gonna do a sprint, and then they're gonna ease down the line and do a longer one. You're like, nah, I want to go Olympic distance, right off the bat, and just get after it. So, I mean, I'm looking to do a triathlon as well. I was swimming this summer, but it was sparingly because of COVID. But I just bought a really cool bike. I have a Bianchi, and I'm like trying to, get after it. But the biking to me isn't the problem. The running isn't the problem. It's the swimming.
Yeah.
Definitely terrified of open water swim. I'm not a Navy SEAL. I'm not Special Forces. So, the problem is people swimming over me is what scares. You have 1,000, there's 100 people in the water with you, right? And they're jockeying for position. So you may catch a heel to the eye.
Yeah.
And I've seen people tug on human beings as they're swimming. So
my plan, and like I'm a competitive person, but I understand my limits. So I'm not going to try and be competitive at this triathlon. I just want to do it. And so for me, I'm going to let people go, and then I'll go. I'm like, you guys go, and then I'll start my swim. It's fine. I'll wait the 30 seconds so I'm not getting trampled. It's fine with me.
All right. Yeah. It makes more sense.
Iron John over here, Jeff.
Yeah.
I've been a little quiet, but I'm hooked up here. First of all, I got to say I love it. I love how you took and first I condemn you on being so open about the addiction household that you grew up in. Myself, I'm in AA, and my father is also an AA, is an alcoholic. So I understand that part of the struggle. And how you took full responsibility, because we always talk about taking full responsibility for your actions, as in your thought process and your thoughts. And kind of when you broke that barrier, when you were able to realize that you were in control of this whole entire film, John was able to sit in the chair and look at the screen and see, okay, play rewind. I've been doing this, thinking like this, that kind of made me who I am. It's a false narrative. It's a false belief in John's head that he believed. And once you were able to break that, it's probably one of the most powerful things in the world. And just a few questions for you, because I'm looking at you now. How much did you weigh, I guess, in high school compared to what you're at now?
In high school, my highest weight was probably around, 310, 320 maybe. And then I went from probably 260s, maybe a little bit higher, 4 years, got to 310, 320. I don't know exactly, honestly, because especially in high school, your boy was not weighing himself.
I'm not stepping.
And what are you at now?
Nope. Now I weigh about like 210 pounds.
Yo, me and you weighed the
That's
same.
incredible.
Yeah, man. We're both like freaking
Incredible.
jacked, man.
Yeah, we're twins, bro. No, I mean,
So,
of course, but it's almost mirror, brother.
before that, the mindset. This is what I'm really interested in, John. Is before when you had the wedding, you were 20, and how old are you now?
27.
Oh, okay,
Young man.
I'm 28. So we're the same age. That wedding and everything, and then you said you're going through all these jobs and everything, and you left college, so you're probably you're jumping from one job to another, trying to really figure out who you are. But what was that first maybe month like of just getting started, as in, I'm just going to go out there? I mean, was it the hypertrophy, or did you just start kind of walking, running, doing type of things? Because a lot of people that don't know what the hell they're doing and they're by themselves, that's when they don't have that extra push, so kind of like, because you said you're from Starbucks to 24, but it's like, how'd you even get to 24 hour? Do you know what I mean? Like what was before the 24 hour? What was that like? And the meal plan like to stay consistent, to be able to feel, and you're going through a lot of life changes. You're switching jobs, you're trying to find out who you are. So I think that's a really powerful and big aspect, because a lot of people get stuck there, and then they might quit that job and not even get another job, and they just get stuck with their thoughts that are one of the most powerful things in this world.
Yeah. So that's a great question. Like when I first started, I didn't work out at all. And I honestly, I tell people, like, this is a thing that I say to a lot of people. I get messages literally every single day of like, I want to lose weight. What's the best workout? And I tell people, remember, weight loss happens in the kitchen, fitness happens in the gym. Like, do I think they both complement each other very well? Yes, absolutely. Like if you can work out or if you can move, absolutely do that. But if you're at a size that you are literally like, you can't run, like you can't, right? Or if you did, it would be not a good idea, or you can't afford a gym membership, or you can't, like, it's not necessary, right? Because I deal with a lot of people that are trying to lose a lot of weight, right? Their weight is legitimately hindering their lives.
Yes.
And so like, I think it's really important for people to understand how much more important your diet and what you're eating is to your overall health than your fitness regimen, right? I think fitness is an added thing that absolutely, again, if you can do it, you should do it. 100%, I believe that. But so for me, it was, like I said, it was like the common sense diet at the start. And I really wasn't like worried. And honestly, it was like a blessing in disguise, because like the reason I didn't go to the gym, I wanted to, because I felt like I had to, but I just couldn't afford it. Like I literally couldn't afford it. And so I was like, okay, well, I might as well, I'll just try to change how I eat, because I was like everyone else in the past. When I would try and lose weight, I would try and like eat better, but then I would go to the gym and like really push hard. For me, pushing hard at the time was like an hour on the elliptical or something, right? But then after I would finish, I'm like, man, I worked so hard, I'm gonna go get a burrito now. And it's just like, man, you just don't know what you're doing. And so for me, the first, like, probably 60 pounds were lost, maybe even more, without any sort of like fitness regimen going on at all. And then like the reason I started working out was because I got the job where I had a little bit more money. And obviously, like, I was very, like, there was a lot of things. I was very lucky. I was still living at home, so I didn't have to pay a bunch of rent, so I could afford to get the gym membership. Like there were a lot of little things that kind of added up to me being able to, like, honestly, like, make my health my number one priority, not making money, which that was a very lucky thing that I had, right? A lot of people, when they're trying to lose weight, like, their health might be important to them, but they're like, I literally have to provide for my family. I have to do this. I have to do that. And for me, I was really lucky that that wasn't one of the things that I struggled with. But I don't want to say that and make people that maybe do have to worry about providing for the family or do have to worry about XYZ thing. Like, you can still do it, because trust me, I talk to people every day that have, but it just wasn't one of the things that I had to deal with,
Gotcha.
Right. Yeah. I'm happy you brought that up about the food thing, the whole diet and nutrition, because when you're doing in the gym, right, essentially you're just breaking down your muscles. You're stressing them out. What happens the rest of the 22 hours when you sleep, when you eat? That's where you see that's what the magic happens.
Yeah,
it's like,
true.
what kind of pill do I need? What kind
man.
of supplements do I need? No, your sleep is the most powerful supplement you can consistently for months at an end. And people don't understand that it's really sleep, diet, and then the working out part. Because if you think about it, let's say you're in the gym 2 hours, and that's pretty long for a lot of people, an hour. Then you look at the rest of the 23 hours, what are you doing? And like you said, I worked so hard, and that's that mindset where you had to overcome. And God bless you for doing it, man, because you're helping so many other people that, all right, I just worked out hard. Let me get that quick, that quick dopamine, that high that makes you feel good. Even the highs of food, and it's like, wait, I have to catch that, and that's living in the moment, man, and being grounded and, being responsible, and that, just because you're an addict to alcohol or to drugs, narcotics, you can be addicted to food, which is a huge, it's big out there, so I'm really glad you brought that up about, and your mindset, as in, if you can't even run a mile, what happens to you? You feel down, you feel depressed, you feel like you can't, you're not up to par with everybody else. So just taking those small little steps, and I'm a big advocate on, all right, people want to jump into a meal plan that's, let's say they're really overweight or they're not comfortable with their body, and change everything. Now, I don't know if you can agree with me on this, John, but it's like, let's get your breakfast down first. All right, you're consistent with breakfast. Let's do lunch, let's do dinner, and then let's do little snacks. A lot of change at once is going to add a lot of, I think, increased failure and more stress and anxiety, and then kind of get turned off by the whole process. I don't know if you can agree with me on that.
No, it's small changes I think are always going to be better than a huge overhaul. But the thing is that small changes aren't sexy. A huge overhaul is, right? If you're able to be like, yeah, I'm completely doing something way different than I was last week, it's like, wow, that's so cool. But like, if you're just like, yeah, I'm eating a little bit less, people are like, really? That's it? That's all you're doing? But that's all you need to do at the start, at least,
Yeah. So, I mean, I have a little question here too. A lot of our listeners are going to, look you up, right? And they're going to see like you're this big YouTube guy, right? So explain the YouTube journey, right? And how you're able to kind of get a little bit more financial freedom, where you can kind of leave the 2 jobs that you're at and kind of do that full time and really dedicate yourself to your craft. Because like I said, when I started to follow you, I've noticed that you were already established. You were this huge YouTuber, and that this was like a staple for you. So I mean, walk us through that real quick.
Yeah, so YouTube for me, I mean, I started my Instagram first because I felt bad that I was posting so much like weight loss stuff on my regular Instagram. So it was like, let's make an Instagram that's just about weight loss. So that's when Obese to Beast was born. And then from there, I had watched YouTube not my entire life, obviously, but like for a really long time. I learned how to play drums watching YouTube. I learned how to like nutrition. I learned how to lose weight watching YouTube. And so I was like, I think it'd be cool to make videos. Like I didn't see many videos of people that were actually overweight trying to help people lose weight. It was always other people that were always fit, right? And so I decided to start a YouTube channel. My friend Brian that I talked about earlier really helped me at the start. And there was a couple of videos that I really wanted to do at the very start. So there was like full day of eating videos so I could show people what my diet was. There was like the regular transformation video that was popular back then. And then there was a video that I wanted to make about my loose skin, because when you lose the amount of weight that I lose, you get loose skin. And that was a question I would get literally every day. And so I remember I went and after, I had been doing the YouTube thing for a while, and then I was like, okay, I want to make this loose skin video. And so the video is called My Biggest Insecurity, Loose Skin. And I filmed the video, taking my shirt off, showing my legs and everything. And that video went viral. And so that video completely changed my life, because I went from like 3,000 subscribers to like 30,000 subscribers, like really quickly. And I ended up like the more than that though, it got picked up by like every news outlet you can think of. It was literally everywhere. And then eventually the Ellen Show hit me up, and I went on the Ellen Show, and that obviously made it a lot more hype. And like, so all of that stuff kind of helped me be able to, like, it's not like right away I was like, okay, I'm done. But like after, 6 months or whatever it was, I was able to actually I was like, oh, I'm actually making some money off of this. And when I first stopped, I probably did it a little early, but I was like, I want to As I said, like I wasn't the best employee. Like I definitely do better being able to work on my own terms and like do my own thing, which,
Gotcha.
you know, if you're not like that, like I think a lot of people that say that it's like, that's the only way to do it. Like if you're someone that likes being an employee, shoot, man, do your thing. Like I don't really care. But for me, like, I just went for it, and then eventually it actually paid off. But yeah, that's kind of how it all happened. It was luck to a certain extent for sure, but also being prepared. You know, if I didn't have the back catalog of videos, if I didn't have the experience making the videos, I think people would have seen that video and not subscribed. Because like, how many viral videos do you see that aren't from like a person that makes YouTube videos? You know what I mean? It's a normal thing, especially back then, you know, 6 years ago, it was definitely a lot more popular. And so, yeah, that's kind of how that all happened.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Because I just wanted to know how, like, how the takeoff was. Because I was on Snapchat today, and I see that, and I'm like, oh, it's my boy. And, you know, they got you on the berg, and, you know, they just kind of, you know, documented your whole journey. And I'm like, guy's legit, like a super. You're everywhere. Like, if I pick up do something, you're everywhere, bro. So I'm like, how do I get to that level, man? Because this dude is everywhere. It's just amazing, man. Because like I said, you and I have spoke, you know, off camera about this. Like, you know, I'm at the tail end of my police career, and, you know, I'm doing this media stuff, and I'm looking to kind of like branch off and do something that I enjoy post police career. So, and, you know, I always tell, you know, our listeners, you know, you keep good people around you, man. And you've always been very positive, especially when you and I have spoken, because we've spoke about several things, man, you know, societal issues that are going on right now with the whole current climate in the United States, man. And like you and I have gotten pretty close, and you know, you've always given me some great insight, man. So I want to thank you for that, for being you know, super positive, super insightful, and humble, man. Because like, you know, when we had the conversation about, you know, the whole, like, you know, when you went to like that Black Lives Matters rally, whatever, and you know, you kind of like picked my brain about it. And I'm like, yeah, dude, go ahead, man. Like, I just want you to be careful, you know, because you were in essence looking for like answers, you know what I mean? Because, you know, you want to support a movement, you want to, you know, you want to be for the people, but you didn't have much experience, or you weren't as well versed as you probably thought you wanted to be. So like you know, to reach out to me and have a conversation, I think that's humbling in itself, man, and that shows a lot about your character, you know. So I just want to, you know, thank you for being like a positive outlet for me, and also being like a humble human being.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Anytime, bro. Anytime, man.
Yeah, when Jay brought up the Snapchat thing, and you know, when I emailed you and said, you want to come on the show, you're like, sure. And then I like within like 5 days, I texted Jay. I'm like, dude, I'm like, I just saw the whole Snapchat. It's just funny how it just popped up, like literally right when I emailed you. It's like, either they knew or it's just a coincidence. But I saw that whole thing, and again, what Jay said, that mindset of, I guess this is more not really a personal question, but when you started dropping the weight, John, did your whole life around you change? Your perception, your views on a lot of things, not just in the weight loss world, in everyday world?
I would say, I mean, not necessarily, because
I guess
think,
confidence more I'm asking for. Confidence within yourself, your job, you're doing the podcast, doing the YouTube, maybe talking to other people relationship wise and things like that.
Yeah, for me, like I definitely became more, I don't even want to say like confident, but I started to believe in myself more, you know, like, because the first thing, and I've talked about this before, the first thing that really gave me any sort of confidence was learning to play drums. Like I was the fat drummer, right? That was who I was in high school. That's who I was. I still play drums. I have my electronic drum set right over there. But I play for my church and stuff, but, like, so that was the first thing that kind of gave me some confidence, because again, like I grew up, I skateboarded all the time. Like that was my first love. I was always really bad, like really bad at it. I was not good. I can skate, like I'm proficient at getting places. But like if you asked me to do a kickflip, I'm like, nah, I can't do it. And I skated my whole life, and I literally could never do a kickflip. And I think a big part of it was because, one, I was big and it was hard. And then two, I was scared. I'm a scaredy cat. And so like that was something like I really wanted to be good at it. and it didn't happen. And then football was the same thing, right? I really wanted to be good at it. And it wasn't even that it didn't happen, because I was good at it when I played flag football, but I gave up on it, right? And then drums was the first thing that made me realize, okay, if you put your mind to something, you can actually do it. And then I kind of almost put that same energy into losing weight. Like I get because I have ADD. And so I get very focused on one thing and it becomes everything for me. And then like a lot of times it's not good, because I'll be very focused. I'm like, I want to do this thing. And then all of a sudden it's a month later. I'm like, yeah, I don't care anymore. But like, luckily for me, weight loss was like, I was focused on it and it continued. Right. And then, so for me, it gave me so much confidence, because for me, like I was really lucky that when I said I wanted to lose weight, everyone in my life was excited, right? It wasn't anyone being like, you don't need to, or you're fine where you are. It was like, people were like, yeah, we agree, not because they were being mean, but it was like, they wanted to keep me around. And so I just remember being like, cause again, it was like the biggest thing in my life that like I wanted to fix. And so the fact that I was able to do that, definitely gave me a lot of confidence in being like, okay, you are capable of XYZ thing,
So my question is, and I wanted to build up to get to it, is, like you said, you lost a reasonable amount of weight, right? And then you have this like residual skin, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is tough to deal with, only because it's a byproduct of the weight loss, obviously, right? You lose X amount of weight and it becomes the byproduct of the the weight loss. So you have this excess skin, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm on Snapchat and I see this, right? And I'm like, yeah, because this is how I know you. I know you from via social media, but during this Snapchat thing, it said that you opted not to have the surgery,
mm-hmm.
to remove loose skin. Can you just walk us through why you opted not to have the surgery?
Yeah.
And why you went that route?
Yeah. So this is a question I get literally every day, right? Mm-hmm. Especially if I post a picture of my body with my loose skin. And like, I understand it, because I think like people expect you to get the surgery, especially because like if you think about like all these TV shows we used to watch growing up of like extreme weight loss and stuff, they would always do like the after they had gotten loose skin surgery and they looked quote unquote normal, right? And so for me, I think like honestly the reason I've decided to not get it, because one, I think a lot of people think it's just like snip and you're good to go, but it's like a major surgery, and it's like there are a lot of complications that can happen. So it's not like just super simple and then you're good to go. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, I mean, it is very expensive. Now I have been offered like surgeons have like messaged me on Instagram, like, hey, if you shout us out and stuff, we'll give you the surgery for free, blah, blah, blah. I'm not interested in doing that. But like I don't, if I were to ever get it, I think I would want to pay for it. I don't think I'd want someone to do it because they want to shout out on like Instagram or whatever. I don't know. It's just, that's not something I'm interested in doing.
I like that.
Yeah. And then the other thing is like the recovery afterwards is super intense. Like it's no joke.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, like I have a lot of friends that have gotten it, and this is no shade at them, but like, it's not like you get the surgery and then you look quote unquote like normal. You still have scars. A lot of like times, like your nipples aren't straight, or like, it's not like someone would see you with your shirt off and be like, oh, that's just a normal dude. Like they would notice there was something is going on. Right.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, well, people notice that when I take my shirt off now. And so do I really want to go through all of that for people to still be able to notice it? And like, so the reason, but also I don't deal with any pain or anything like that because of my loose skin. So there literally are people that deal with like serious pain, rashes, like infections and stuff like that. I don't have any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And it doesn't like psychologically make me like depressed or anything like that, which is a very common thing that happens with a lot of people. And like, again, any reason is a good enough reason. Even if you literally just don't like how it looks, do your thing. Like I'm not, whenever I talk about this, people think I'm like on some high horse saying like I'm better than people that have gotten it. I don't care. Like if you want to get the surgery, do your thing.
You've named some legit reasons why you don't want the surgery. And like you said, it's a legit surgery. There could be some complications and side effects. And, why risk that when, you enjoy who you are, right? Mm-hmm. You're comfortable in yourself. And, I commented on a photo that you had put up. I was like, yeah, dude, just, I always say I have scars on my body from the things that I've been through in my life, right? And I would never change anything that I have on me because it reminds me of what I've been through and where I've been. So it definitely resonates when you say, hey, I don't have any physical discomfort from this. So why even, mess it up? I mean, you're comfortable with who you are. You're comfortable in your quote unquote skin. So why not? So, I mean, I applaud you, bro, because I always say rock out. I mean, if you feel comfortable, in your skin, why not, man? I mean, most people for the look, for like an aesthetic look, to go through that long process and potentially risk like maybe not coming back 100%. The risk versus reward is just way too much.
Yeah.
So, I know that's probably a question that you get a lot, but I figured, our listeners will want to definitely hear why, you opted to go that route. And it's a very commendable, trait that you have, because like you said, you had a surgeon offer, like, hey, we'll do it for free if you shout us out. And you were like, nah, I'm good. If I ever did that, I want to pay for it. That shows that you're a man of high moral regard and integrity. So, I mean, that speaks, like I said, it speaks volumes, man. I always talk highly about you. You're probably tired of me talking about you. It's just how I feel, bro.
No, I appreciate it, man. I'll always take compliments,
Time, man. This is what I'm here for. I'm here for that.
Yeah.
I just think it's incredible, John, that the amount of positivity and humble. You want to talk about humble? This is a definition. This is and you really got to look at it like this, man. That some people, it takes them their whole lifetime and years and years and years to feel comfortable with who they are, and at such a young age to be able to, say what you just said, and with being frank, being honest, it shows a lot of character, man. And going through like an addiction battle, and substance abuse, there's a root problem, man. People aren't comfortable and they're escaping reality. They're escaping really what issue they're going through deep down in the labyrinth. It could be trauma, it could be depression, it could be anxiety, and they're not living in the reality. But you're living in the reality, man. And I'm really glad we were able to, talk to you and, really hear your story on who you are and how far you came. And I'm okay with being okay like this, and that's so important for people to hear us. That you don't have to be, you were just making these videos because you want to help other people out. And then it just blew up. Like you said, you're okay with who you are. And I think a lot of people need to hear that in life and on social media, on Egogram, on Instagram. They don't post this shit. They don't post this stuff. They post all, a glimpse of their life that exactly, you know what I mean? So it's like, you are a perfect example of it, 20, it's okay to be you and who you are. You don't have to fake it to try, fake it to make it, but you don't have to lie to yourself, and right there, man, by you not lying to yourself, it's gonna help. It just helps. I can already, your future is going to be amazing, man. And I really thanks for, what you shared so far has been epic,
No problem. Thanks for having me, you guys. I appreciate it.
So we down with the questions, Frankie?
Yeah, I just have a question for John real quick though, because I just want to hit John's touch on alcohol, man, and like growing up in an addiction household. Have you ever battled with alcohol or still use alcohol today, or kind of your take on it, or ever battle with any type of substances like that, if you're comfortable talking about that?
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm totally fine. So for me, I've actually always been kind of nervous to ever really drink or do any substances. So I've only ever been drunk, I think, twice, maybe 3 times. I don't know exactly. But I mean, I haven't drank in a really, really, really long time. I was never a huge fan of it. For me, I was like, I still, and like, no, this is no hate to people that like alcohol, but like when people say they like how it tastes, I just feel, I'm like, I don't believe you. Because like I've never had anything that I was like, wow, this is delicious. Like people are like, oh, you should have a mixed drink. And I'm like, yeah, I've had them. And I'm always thinking to myself, man, this would taste better if there's no alcohol in it. And so I've luckily never dealt with that stuff. And I think part of it is because of where the house that I came from and knowing how much it did to my family. Definitely scared me to really ever jump into any of that stuff. And then I think for me, because of food was my crutch, I just never ended up touching any of that stuff because it wasn't necessary, I guess. I had my addiction, and I probably felt like I just didn't need to add anything else to that.
Gotcha. Makes
Amen,
sense.
man. Yeah,
Makes
it's
sense.
it's a blessing, man, to come out on that side and not use a scapegoat to feel, oh, why me? Pour me another drink. And it's funny about the taste, I've had a few non-alcoholic beers, and I had the Heineken Zero, and it tastes just like a Heineken. And I'm like, sometimes, I've had it a few times this summer. I'm like, why am I even having this beer? It's like, what's the point? And again, you catch yourself trying to fit in, like trying to feel not awkward. But then, I even have to catch myself. It's like, Frank, you're coming on a year sober. Like, you don't have to, you're fine with the club soda and stuff. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you bringing that up, John. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, man. No problem.
So we always wrap up with a few questions just for the listeners to get to know you a little more. So we'll start with what comes to your mind, a favorite movie or two movies.
Oh, man. My favorite movie is probably Step Brothers. I can quote that almost that whole movie. And then, man, second movie, I honestly, there's too many. I like the, the Marvel films and stuff like that. Some people won't call those real movies, but whatever. Fine with me.
They're
You were a Marvel superhero. Who would you be? Who would you want to be?
Well, everyone constantly says I look like Spider-Man, the Tom Holland, especially. But this was before I had the luscious beard that I have now. But I think like if I could choose, I'd probably choose Thor. I really like Thor a lot.
Thor.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
Thor's hammer. We got to get you that. Do you have a hammer, man? You can post on your page or something.
I need to get Mjolnir like hanging right there.
Yeah.
I'll take
Do
that.
you watch The Boys on Amazon?
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, yeah, because that new season is coming out on
Yeah,
Friday, so I was just catching up on that. That was funny stuff.
That's a good show, man.
I know you're a big drummer, so we always ask like what kind of music you listen to, or a PR song if you're going in the gym and want to have a really good gym session. But I'm kind of interested on who's your favorite drummer and why, if you have one.
Yeah, so my favorite drummers are actually like gospel musicians. So like Eric Moore, Tony Royster Jr., and then going back, Dennis Chamberlain was actually like he was like kind of before them, and I think for a lot of them they say he's their inspiration. Also Aaron Spears. But then if we talk about like, I don't actually even really drum like that. I throw in a little bit of gospel stuff when I'm playing, but I actually play more like Aaron Gillespie, who used to play for Under Oath, like Travis Barker stuff. Yeah, things like that. So it's kind of like a lot of pop punk and like alternative influences, and then also a lot of like gospel drummers that I like to watch for their like chops and their finesse and stuff.
Like it.
Jay,
all right, cool.
Jay, we've been getting a lot of gospel music lately, man. A lot of good. This is like the third person in a row, or at least 3 out of 4.
Gospel musicians are unbelievably talented, unbelievably talented. And the drummers, especially, obviously, that's what I've seen. It's ridiculous, man. You'll see a 6-year-old just crushing it.
Just get after it, yeah.
You ever see Machine Gun Kelly play the drums? What do you think about him?
I've never seen him play the drums.
Oh, really? Yeah, he's I love him as an artist and a rapper and just a singer. But he was in the Netflix movie with Motley Crue, and he
really. Oh, I didn't know that.
And a great movie, and he The Dirt, it's called, on Netflix. But he played Tommy Lee. But in a lot of his newer music that he's kind of like, he kind of went like
he's
rap
like doing
and
pop
rock.
punk and stuff like that right now.
Right? Yeah, he plays the drums a lot, so and he can really spin those sticks. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, that's cool.
One meal to eat for the rest of your life every day, man, and it doesn't have to be healthy.
Oh, it's gonna be stir fry for me.
Stir fry?
I eat stir fry almost every day. Yeah.
Okay.
Stir fry is good, man, because again, you didn't say type of stir fry, so I could add whatever I want to it. So,
I was about to say what kind of protein you put in there.
I usually put chicken just because it's easy. I'm lazy, man. With cooking, I'm lazy. So I use pre-cooked chicken, frozen veggies, rice. It's so simple, man. And you can make it taste so different with the different sauces you use. So I would go stir fry for sure.
Easy peasy. I like it.
Tons of veggies. It's good.
Keeping it simple. One person to meet, dead or alive, to hang out with. Who are you chilling with, John?
Probably The Rock.
The Rock. All right.
Probably The Rock. I mean, I can't help it, man. He's too charismatic.
Yeah, nah, he's legit. He's like one of my favorite entertainers.
Yeah.
It's like rags to riches story, you know,
Yeah.
and he's an extremely hard worker too.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you a question. I got a question. I need to throw a little, you know, a little bit of my
little change up. Throw a little change up in there, Jay. Hit him.
Yeah. Favorite sneaker.
Oh, snap.
You know I got to bring it there, brother.
Yeah. Dang, man. I wish I was more of a sneakerhead, but for me, it's probably just like the classic authentic Van.
Okay.
Because growing up, that's what I wore. You know, I'm from SoCal, so like that's what I wore growing up. For a while, it was hard to get my foot inside of them, but now I'm definitely a Vans guy. Like I probably have 7 pairs of Vans. You know, from like the skate highs to the slip-ons to the authentics. Yeah, I'm a Vans guy for sure.
I'm a Vans guy myself, so I can respect that. I got some Vans. That's like my summer. It's like my summer shoe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I try hard to wear like the Jordans and stuff like that. They're like high tops, but man, I just always feel like I look weird in them. I feel like because I'm short and stubby, man. I don't got like long legs or anything. So I feel like when I put them on, it makes me look shorter and stubbier. So
got you. So Van Lows, I think you're probably gonna rock with.
Yeah, usually I've been messing around with the high tops recently. It's definitely not my normal go-to. Like I have to like be like, okay, come on, we're gonna wear the high tops today, bro. You can do it.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. I got a few highs. I'll bring them out every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
Frankie, what you got?
Johnny Vans, how you doing? So your favorite compound movement, and then if you had to superset that in the gym was another like accessory for the rest of your life, and your recovery's fine. What are you going with?
Oh, favorite compound? Can it be an Olympic lift?
Hell yeah!
Oh yeah!
All right.
Oh yeah!
So it's gonna be power snatch.
Ooh.
Power snatch is my favorite, and then accessory movement would probably be, probably like, you know, some bicep curls. You know, bicep curls for the girls.
Curls for the girls. Just about to say that. There you go.
Yep.
Last question.
John?
Oh, go ahead, Jay.
My highest ever snatch is 212.
Okay.
No, 217. I want to get that 225. I've been dealing with some like little back injuries and stuff like that, so we're finally getting back to being healthy. So I haven't been able to chase it in a while, but my highest is 217.
Gotcha. That's respectable. I'll take it. Clean?
Huh?
What's your heaviest clean?
Oh man, my clean is not great. Like 265, I think. And I'm pretty sure that's power because, man, my front rack mobility is absolute trash. And so are my ankles, so it's not good.
You don't have that front rack mobility. It's like,
dude, it's not good. Like I definitely have more in the tank, but I just get in my head and getting under it fast enough. That's an issue for me for sure.
I hear you. Respect.
Those are some complex movements, though, you know?
Yeah.
So 265 is definitely not bad, man. Some people look at it and are afraid to even try it because of, you know, people make
dude,
it like
I was terrified, man. I was terrified to start cleans or snatches. I was so scared.
Yeah.
Jay makes it look easy, you know, on
moves
YouTube,
well though.
On Instagram, yeah. But when people try it for the first time, like, what the hell is this, you know?
Yeah.
I am old and washed up now, bro. So I just get on the bike erg now, and you know, I do a lot of body weight stuff. If I'm lifting,
that's where I'm at right now. Trust me, it's like I'll be doing like bike and then push-ups and pull-ups. That's pretty much what I've been doing recently.
Yeah,
with my back.
The bread and butter is right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So John, you come to New York. You're hanging out with me and Jay. We take off this giant towel, time machine. Anywhere you want to go, man. It could be 20 years ago. It could be 200 years ago of who you are right now, of present John. Was it September 4th? September 3rd, 2020. 12:30 Eastern time, 9:30 Western time. Where are you going?
Oh man. Shoot. I've always said because I've been asked this question before, and I've always said like I think it would be cool to go to like the 20s. I don't know why the 20s, but for some reason I think it would be fun, and I understand that that's like a white dude that's saying that because it probably wouldn't be fun.
You understand? Yeah. It was the 20s, bro.
Yeah, exactly. But the sad, like, let's be real, the sad thing is pretty much anywhere in the past, if you go past like the 70s, isn't going to be very fun for anyone that's like not white, which kind of sucks. But
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, the 20s, I think it's just because movies and stuff have made it out to be like the, you know, the golden age when like guys wore like suits and they like brushed their hair back and they slicked back, you know what I mean? I don't know. That's like the thing that comes to mind. But I think like for me, it's hard to answer because I mean, I love what I'm doing now, man. I love my smartphone, so I don't want to leave it.
No, if you bring that with you, then you'll be set.
I can bring it. Oh, okay.
You have to hide it.
Then...
You'd have to hide that because then people will be like, oh, you know, what the hell?
Yeah.
Change the world, Johnny. And there we go, man. We just wrapped it up. Again, my name is Frank. You can find me. You guys know where to find me. Reps_4_responders. John, thank you, man. Seriously.
Yeah, no problem.
This was a great, just a great story and a great mindset to hear from someone who, and I'm not saying this in the coming off mean, but someone who struggled and taking their struggles to become so powerful, so confident, and so not only willing to change your life, but thousands of people around the world. So I just want to thank you for that and throw it over to my man Jay.
Yeah, Jumpman Jay. I got my Instagram back, so I'm the real Jumpman Jay. John helped me out a lot during that whole process when I got hacked, and I'm back at it. So that's where you can find me. And John, where can they find you?
Yeah, it's just Obese to Beast. So OBESETOBEAST. If you type in obese, it'll probably pop up on Instagram. And then same thing with like YouTube and stuff.
He's very got that blue check, so he's good to go.
I got the blue check. You know, I don't have it on Twitter yet. I don't think that happened, but that's fine.
A lot of Johnny Vans, Johnny Blue Checks. We can go all day with that.
Yeah, there we go.
And you have your own podcast as well, right?
Yeah. So it's called Work for Change. If you search it on like the iTunes store or whatever, or if Spotify, it's pretty much anywhere that you get podcasts. Work for Change. I do it with my brother.
Apple Podcast too. I think he's sitting at like 51 or something like that, right?
We were actually 37th this week, so we were going up.
See, yeah. I got to keep checking these things.
Yeah.
Who'd you just have on? Yeah, like the Buttery Bros, right?
Yeah. That was I wasn't on that one because John was actually in Utah and he was able to do it in person, which was cool. But we've had them on before in the past, and so that they were a second-time guest.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna tune in and listen to those guys.
Yeah.
Listen.
All right, man. Awesome. Yeah, I want to listen to that too. Thank you, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for having me, you guys.
Anytime, brother.
All right.
Of course. Have a good week, man. A good weekend.
Yeah.
Stay safe, all right?
Yeah, you too.
Enjoy, bro.
All right, peace out.
Later.